First it was Craig Burley, then it was Neil Warnock. This time it's Simon Jordan's turn. Simon Jordan, I'm coming for you.
Welcome to the Burton Ballers. Ain't got no time for no stallers, yeah.
We are the risers, we're not the fallers. Our channel is growing wider and taller.
Yeah, we're here to give you the news about your dear beloved Blues, yeah.
So if you like this YouTube channel, like, subscribe and turn on that bell.
Yeah.
People were attributing last week the evolution of the Premier League to people like Roman Abramovich. With due respect, with the exception of Chelsea, Roman Abramovich was one of the worst things that could have happened to English football. We were on a direction of travel that was already upwards. Our Premier League was already flying. We already had the broadcasters throwing money at us hand over fist. What you did was you created hyperinflation. You might have broken up the duopoly. You might have stopped the powerhouses that were United and Arsenal for a period of time, but that was going to happen anyway because ownership models were changing. What you did was you changed the landscape by making football so financially unviable for your own reasons. People look at these people buying football clubs like Manchester City, like Newcastle, like Chelsea, and look at the ownership. These people aren't buying these football clubs because they love the football clubs. They're buying them because they want to get a life insurance policy against political leanings, they want a sports wash, they want to legitimise regimes like Newcastle. They want to have a situation where they own our English football clubs, and we sit there and we go, that's great. And the main beneficiaries of it are agents and players. And what have we got now? A generation of players that have no character, no backbone, no substance, get paid far too much money. The immorality of football comes up for question. And I think it's a tragedy. I think it's a reality. And the lack of governance behind the game gives people like this the facility to be able to do this. Abramovich's legacy is what? For Chelsea, fabulous. For football in this country, I think it's awful. Tragically, our biggest, most aspirational assets are our football club, and we're quite happy to welcome these people in to own our football clubs as long as they've got a big bag of money.
That's
so
right.
I sat on the sideline, sort of storing this up last week, thinking, the Premier League has been brought forward. All this crap I've been listening to, if it wasn't for Roman Abramovich, the Premier League would never be what it is. Nonsense. What did it do? What it did was it created hyperinflation, which has destroyed football. The Championship is in an absolute chaos. The EFL cannot keep up with the Premier League. The only beneficiaries have really been players and agents. No one's making more money. No one's getting anything more out of the game. The fans are seeing sometimes better football, but they would have seen it anyway because our powerhouse league would have superseded La Liga, would have superseded Serie A. It didn't need this kind of money to do it. And what it's done is it's brought about a vacuum in our game. Look at the way players behave now. Look at the money these players are getting paid. Look at the immorality of all of that. And you look at it and say, what did it actually bring? The game's getting further away from the fans. The cost implications of the game are getting greater. Players are getting more control and less value. We're talking about Man United players don't get the reality of playing for, ironically, the most iconic football club in the world. And part of that is the financial landscape that was created by people like Roman Abramovich. Good riddance, bye-bye next.
Yeah, just finished listening to Simon Jordan's rant on TalkSport about how Roman Abramovich ruined football. And that's a narrative we hear from a lot of supporters, a lot of former managers, chairmen. I remember David Dean famously said, this guy's coming shooting his rubles at anyone, shooting his rubles out of his big Russian tank. And so, and every media outlet you hear about how Roman Abramovich has ruined football. We heard that with UEFA, Michel Platini and everyone else. The only thing that Roman Abramovich did, guys, was to break up the monopoly, which was Arsenal, Manchester United. I wouldn't even say Tottenham. Tottenham were down as a big four club and Everton at the time. But Tottenham didn't really win things. Even when they were meant to be a big club, Chelsea was still winning more than them in the 90s anyway. But these were the rich clubs. If you look at Liverpool, for instance, Liverpool were outspending everybody in the 90s. I didn't hear anybody say anything about that. They said they earned their success. Nonsense. They were buying their success. And I'm going to put a link in the description below. And you can see it up here as well in the bio that shows that they were buying their success. The article that I've put in the link in the description is by a Liverpool supporter, but it's no bias. So, okay, it was a different landscape then, but it still applies. They were outspending everybody by and other clubs couldn't compete. And what they used to do as well, Liverpool, they used to take the best players from the competing clubs, a bit like what Bayern do now with the Dortmund players, but what Liverpool are doing, they're doing it with all the other teams, getting their best players. Peter Beardsley from Newcastle, for instance, John Barnes from Watford, Steve McMahon, I can go on. And so what it does is two things it does. It keeps Liverpool at the top and it weakens their rivals. So that's why Liverpool had that run, run of 5 or 6 leagues in a row without anybody being able to compete against them in the 80s, late 80s, 90s. So Manchester United came along with Alex Ferguson, but was it just Alex Ferguson? Why? No, they broke the record all the time. Look at Rio Ferdinand, anybody? You know, they were breaking world records. Juan Sebastian Veron, you know, Ruud van Nistelrooy, I can go on. Okay, it wasn't, they were spending big. Chelsea were buying, well, I wouldn't say buying, they were getting players on a free just to compete. The Ruud Gullits of this world, they were coming on Bosmans. If it wasn't for Bosman, Chelsea wouldn't have been able to compete with these teams. Then Chelsea had to get loans to buy the likes of Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank and players like that, and they nearly got bankrupt just so that they compete. So for Simon Jordan to come out with this nonsense and say, look at these teams in the lower divisions and how they're trying hard to compete, Chelsea and Leeds United, in fact, nearly went out of business because they were just trying to compete with the Arsenal's, Liverpool's, Manchester United's of this world, the ones who were getting all the TV rights, the ones who were getting all the money from sponsorship deals. Other clubs weren't getting the money from sponsorship deals. Okay, when the TV rights did come in, I heard that Simon Jordan talking about the TV rights, but when they came in, they were more geared at making the richer clubs even richer. You know, the only clubs they used to show on TV were Arsenal, Manchester United or Liverpool. And the only reason you got on TV is when you were playing one of these teams. They didn't used to have a lot of the other teams playing against each other. So that's causing a bigger divide. So Roman Abramovich comes in, good for him. What he's done, he's come in, and what he's done, he's spent to catch up. He wasn't spending money left, right, and centre. He was catching up on all that, the money was spent by those other clubs in the past. And it's only in his first couple of seasons that he spent big. He first came in, if you look at his record, he came in, he spent big early on. Then in the next season, I think in his third season under Jose Mourinho, we hardly spent any money. Was it Ben Talaim and players like that came in? Steve Sidwell, those sort of players came in. And that's where Jose Mourinho made that famous speech against good eggs and bad eggs, or going to Waitrose or going to another shop, was it Asda or somewhere to buy your eggs. So, and once he started to get us to, once he got the players in that we needed, the next few seasons, we just used to spend big, and a lot of times when we spent after that, we balanced the books. Even now, we are balancing our books, and that's how we're getting in. Okay, we may spend a lot, but we are a lot of our purchases are done on player sales. So we've made big money on the likes of Oscar, Eden Hazard, and others. That's how our business model is now. So Simon Jordan, get your facts straight before you spout in your nonsense. Here's some facts for you, Simon Johnson, because obviously you went on to TalkSport, you didn't do your research, and you're making yourself look silly now. Chelsea, how many times have Chelsea got the world record for a player? Once. They've only broken the world record once, and that was when they bought Shevchenko from AC Milan for 30.8 million, I think it was. And apart from that, that's it. Manchester United have been breaking records left, right and centre. I don't hear him talking about Manchester United spending a lot of money. And another thing, he mentioned Manchester United players. Manchester United are the big cause because they spend money left, right and centre. How much money they splashed on Harry Maguire and Paul Pogba. You know, they're the ones who are spending big money and big wages. So why are you blaming us for Manchester United players just thinking about money? Look at their club. Everything. What happens in football is Chelsea who get the blame. They don't look at what's happening around other clubs. It's always Chelsea getting the blame. Another fact, Out of the top 10 transfers in the Premier League, Chelsea appear 3 times, Manchester United 5 times. Okay, and the others are Manchester City, Arsenal and Liverpool in that top 10. And in the top 10, Chelsea is only 2018, I think it was, where it was the goalkeeper Kepa came into that in the top 10 in the last 10 years. And as I keep saying, we are now buy to sell. So it's one in, one out. So what we're doing, we're not relying on Roman's money when we're making these player purchases, is from player sales. That, and if you look at our net profit over the last few years, our net profit is one of the best. Our net profit is better than even some teams like Crystal Palace and other teams. You know, it's only this COVID season now that we've had a bad hit, but in the seasons prior to that, our net profit has been up there, you know, very impressive net profit. Even if you take a press, take the COVID situation at the side, net profit this season, you know, we bought in Lukaku, but we made over 100 million in player sales. So we are not doing it with Roman Abramovich's money anymore. So this is just lazy. Everything is lazy, you know, lazy from the journalists, lazy from former chairmen of clubs, lazy from club supporters. You know, after these people saying Chelsea have bought their success, a lot of these guys weren't even around when before Roman Abramovich came in, so they don't know anything about buying success. They're just following the narrative of what the media are putting out there, and just like sheep, they are not doing their research and just following it. So you know what? Good on Abramovich for breaking up the status quo. He's come in, you know, Manchester City have come and done the same thing. But you know what, Simon Jordan, this is what I'm saying to you. Had we had no Abramoviches, no Manchester City owners, then what we'll be seeing is a boring league like we have in Scotland, where you just have Manchester United and Arsenal running away with it, and Liverpool maybe season in, season out, and no other teams getting near them. So that's why, you know, what we've done now, the bar's been raised. It's more competitive, and because of the TV money as well, TV has ploughed a lot of money, and so teams don't even need the Chelsea money anymore, because you've got a lot of TV money. And what Chelsea did as well, when they had their money, they bought a lot of players, and they've helped out a lot of clubs, West Ham, Newcastle and teams like that, went by buying a lot of their players. So they've helped them financially as well. So it's, you know, it's not like we've spent all our money abroad, you know. And West Ham were one of the biggest beneficiaries from Chelsea when when Roman Abramovich came in and started splashing the cash. So let's just think before we talk, guys, because it's just getting boring now. That's my rant over. So stick your comments in the section below. Do you think Mr. Jordan has a point, or are you agreeing with what I'm saying? Love to hear what you got to say, guys. And don't forget, if you like this content, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on all post notifications so you'll be notified every time I make a new video. Take care. Bye-bye.